Good morning, everybody. Toast to you and all you do. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I have to say, I can't set my coffee down. Okay. I have to say, I'm like moving up in the world. I have a microphone and one of those stick things that you put your phone on for recording. So funny to me. Anyways, so I'm out in the garden. As you can see, I have on my garden gloves. I'm out collecting borage. And I guess I didn't think about it until I already had it in the bag. And I was like, I should be making a video because I have reasons I set them in bags outside. So first, let's start with what borage is. Borage has these beautiful, it is a flower, and since I have a bunch of it clipped right here, I can show you. You can see it has these beautiful star-shaped blue flowers. This is the Borage officialis, so that's why it has blue flowers. There's an Alba Borage and a couple other ones where they have white flowers. So they are a little bit different there, but this is the old-fashioned one. The flowers are just amazing. They are so pretty. The bees love them. I'm attracting bees just over here, and once they're cut, it smells like a cucumber. A lot of times when they say things like this, I don't believe them. I'm like, whatever. Like when they say Russian sage, it smells of menthol and a musky menthol. We all have our own opinions on what Russian sage smells like. If you've never smelt it, it's that big purple flowering plant you see in the public everywhere, especially in drought places because it's real drought tolerant. So just go smell it. You'll know. This, on the other hand, smells amazing. The flowers don't have a strongest scent, but like smelling this cut end right here, oh my goodness. Okay, so some other things about this plant is that it has all these hairs on it. Can you see the little hairs? And they're quite pokey once it gets developed. Like I have it planted in the border at the end of one of my gardens. Between my garden beds, I'm attracting flies because it's so sweet smelling. I'll show you where I have it planted. So it's a great pollinator. The bees love it. It's also high in calcium and iron, so as the leaves decompose in the garden, it makes for a great calcium additive to your space. So as you can see, I have it planted right here at the end of my garden. Some of the flowers are getting ready to pop open right here. Let's see, I don't know if you can see my hand because I can't really see. Oh, no, there's a pea plant in the way. Okay, so you see these are about getting ready to open. I just cut it back a lot. So borage will tolerate for you to cut. The bees are even already on it. They're upset. They can go to the other pollinating plants that I have. I have a ton of sunflower. They're not sunflowers. They're like wild mini sunflowers. Anyways, so you can cut the borage back up to 75% of the plant, and it's going to tolerate it, and it's going to come right back. It's drought resistant. It is a great, it attracts bees a lot, and other pollinators, wasps. It does have a couple beetles. I just had an invasion as they migrated through of the Japanese scarab beetle. Let's see if I see any, so I can show you. They're beautiful. Like when I first saw them, I was like, oh my God, what a beautiful, magical, amazing bug. But now I know why they're associated with death, because they have eaten away at I don't see any right now. They have just eaten away at my grape plants back there, and we had to go out there and like genocide hundreds of these little beetles. They're shiny and iridescent. They're like scarab beetles, like the ones you see in the movies. And they're iridescent, and they're really pretty, and they're little, and they have like these little antennae that they send out on their sides, and when you barely touch them, they fall to the ground and nuzzle in so you can't find them. And the only way to really kill them is to go out. We had needle nose pliers, and we're out there squishing them. It made me feel bad. Oh, here comes a kid. Hold on. Well, hello again. Okay, so the borage smells like cucumbers. Super attractor of bees. It does get the little pokies on it, but is really pretty. I planted at the edge of the garden to attract the pollinators. Again, it's high in a lot of different nutrients. So that also makes it really good for people. It is generally regarded as safe when you're eating it as the leaves. The essential oil, on the other hand, I would be mindful of because, again, let's sit down. When we're talking about essential oils, it is highly concentrated. And so you are, they would take, like I got 2 bags of Borage over here, and they would take all of this and put it into one little tiny vial, and then you have a really concentrated, so it can become really dangerous. So just be mindful when you're doing it that way. But out of all of the herbs, this one is like amazing at so many different things. It's been used for a really long time. So like Pliny used it way back a long time ago as an antidepressant. It was used by the Roman army to uplift spirits and make them courageous. It also is delicious. So it tastes like cucumbers. It adds that cucumber flavor. You can eat the young leaves and the flowers. And the seeds and flowers are both high in fatty acids. Specifically, it's high in where did I write that? See, bugs. See, we're attracting lots of bugs. High in calcium. It adds it back to the soil. It's high in GHA, so it's gamma alpha hydrochloric acid, something of that nature. Anyways, I swear I just wrote it down, but I failed. It threw me off so bad. And so, let's talk about. So I see other people's Book of Shadows. I watched the Beanbag Hag Witch, and her Book of Shadows are amazing. I'm not like that. So mine are much more like, here is this information. I do write all of, like, this book has all these different herbs. So you can just tab right to what you're looking for. And I can go straight to Borage, and it pulls out the Borage. And then there I am. Bam. Borage. Oh, here it is. Gamma linolenic acid. So, it's just this and this. Oh, see, this is all too fancy for me. I was just used to, like, setting it up with a piece of wood and a cardboard and bam, no microphone. So, I feel as inspiration to people who aren't so artsy. See how chaotic my Book of Shadows is for my garden? And it really is, like, informational. So this is an annual flowering plant in its classification. It does have hairy stems and leaves. I kind of showed you that already. It gets pretty tall, about 2 feet, but it falls over and then it sends up new shoots. So that's actually why it was taking over my garden, is because it got really tall and then all those shoots fell over and then it just, like, crept into the other space. And so I just cut all of that back, but it's got new shoots everywhere. A leaf is coming out, like a big leaf is a new shoot, and they grow straight up. So it just kind of grows tall, falls over, creeps up, does it again. And it reseeds itself through flowering. It's not going to be as invasive as, like, say, a mint family. I would more probably closer to, like, dill. It is going to reseed. Here where I live, it gets really cold. So if we have a hard freeze, since I am in a zone 4, the seeds might not survive winter. And I collected a bunch of them, and I'll keep collecting them as it goes. As I said earlier, you can trim your borage back up to 75%, and it's going to come back. It is kind of weedy, like a weed in that behavior, like most of my herbs. I just cut back all of my herbs. Like when my sister was here helping me, we filled like 8, 9, 10, 12 bags. Yeah, a lot of bags of herbs. And we cut all of my herbs all the way back, like till there was like this much left behind. And they're already growing new. Like my thyme shot up new flowers already, like, bam, I'm alive. So here by September, when we have the next harvest and I come out to harvest on the equinox, I imagine I'm going to get about the same amount. So it's really exciting. I'm getting a lot. So don't hesitate. I mean, not all plants are going to tolerate that. some of your plants are going to get their feelings hurt if you cut them back that far. However, the thyme, oregano, basil, dill, chives, pretty much all of those kind of herbs, they like that. My tarragon, I cut it all. Get out of my coffee, you stupid fly. I cut them back all the way. And they're already like, pshaw! So, don't hesitate. Just be mindful that you're not trying to kill it, you're just trying to help it, and it'll go. So, again, it tastes like cucumbers, it smells like cucumbers, and the flowers kind of have like a honey flavor. They're really, I don't know, it says honey flavor. It smells like cucumber. Like as I was just cutting it back, I was like, phew, cucumber. My daughter's like, oh, it smells like a watermelon. Funny trick, if you put sugar on a cucumber, it tastes like a watermelon. So traditionally, it was used to treat all kinds of things, from respiratory and cardiovascular disorder to stomach conditions. And the reason being is that it has this gamma-linoleic acid, which has anti-inflammatory properties and antibacterial properties. It's really good for your nervous system. It also has other fatty acids in it, which are also, as we talk about through like science and stuff, when they're like, go eat your fatty fish oils, the borage seeds have such a high quality of fatty acids that they are used in like formula for preemie babies and stuff like that. So they're really good for you. It's also really good for your hormones, so it helps with a lot of like PMS issues, hormonal issues, bleeding. Not like it stops the bleeding, but like if you have an irregular period, it can help to stabilize and regulate your period. It can help with the mood swings, lots of different things. So the tincture itself is one of those like women's rescue tinctures that they say to take if you have bad PMS. It's also high in calcium, high in iron, high in manganese and magnesium. It's really just a great, like I highly recommend planting it. You can use it to make teas. You can add the leaves to your salads. So it's amazing. It's like one of those, yes, you should have borage, you should have lemon balm, and you should have tarragon, because I love tarragon and it tastes good. Anyways, so the tea is used to treat colic, cramps, diarrhea, asthma, bronchitis, cardiotonic. So it's going to help purify your blood. It also has antibiotic properties against, oh my god, the flies are so bad because I cut these and then put them like, move that over there. Driving me crazy. Anyways, so it's antibacterial against Helicobacter pylori bacteria. So that's what causes the ulcers. So the tea and the tincture can both help to treat stomach ulcers. It topically is really good for treating skin sores, eczema, several other dermatological issues, swelling of the skin. It's soothing. It can also help treat wounds. Now, it's not like, say, like the lamb's ear where it's going to stop bleeding, but it has all kinds of antibacterial and antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. They're going to help bring down swelling. They're going to help, release the stress, take down the stress. So that's another thing. The tincture helps to reduce stress in your body because it is an antioxidant. Oh, did you see the white butterfly? Oh, and it's also a great companion planter because it's so high in calcium and iron. As it drops its leaves, it's dropping its leaves for the neighboring plants. And so they're getting that extra calcium and stuff. And so it'll help your strawberries get more strawberries. Oh, something's got my throat. Oh, that got my throat so bad it made my eyes water. Oh, I don't know what that was. Okay. So it's good next to like your peas. I have it planted between my peas and my peppers to kind of help both of those soils replenish and stay strong. It's good next to tomatoes. Although I wouldn't recommend it next to tomatoes. Maybe like if you had tomatoes there, next year plant the borage there, and kind of alternate them. Oh, my eye is really watering. Just because they both have the same tendency to grow really tall and fall over and then repeat that process. And so together it would really kind of overgrow. And I think you might end up competing for top space. And you don't want to do that, especially with your tomatoes. You want to let your tomatoes get big and do their thing. My tomatoes are so exciting. Anyways, it's also used for diarrhea, hypertension, diabetes, acute respiratory distress, inflammation, treating heart disease, because it's kind of got blood thinning properties. So it's an anticoagulant in that nature. So if you are on blood thinners, don't drink a bunch of this tea, don't take the oil, things like that, because it will thin your blood out even more. Or vice versa, if you're about to go into surgery, don't take this herb because it can have anticoagulating properties, and you want to be able to clot blood after you've gone into surgery or some kind of stress on your body like that. So just make sure. Sorry, for a minute I thought I wasn't recording. I had a panic, but I just been talking this whole time, like 15 minutes. It's not recording. So the first year I grew the borage, I had it in a pot. I wasn't sure how it was going to grow. It does not like being in a pot. It gets big roots. It spreads out. And so it does not like the pot. I mean, it grew all right, but when I dumped that dirt out, then I always dump out the pots into my big garden beds and like mix it in or whatever. And it was a big root ball. So this year I put it in the ground, and as you can see when I was over there, it kind of took over that whole space, and that's probably 2 foot by 2 foot that it's in there. And I just dropped the seeds. It's like, here's some borage seeds. In theory, it should reseed itself. And next year, it should just come up right there all by itself, which will be amazing. I am keeping some seeds so that just in case it gets too cold. Sometimes at the end of January, beginning of February, it'll get to 2 degrees, 1 degrees, which is well below freezing, and it doesn't always tolerate that. If you live in a warmer climate, it might survive through this winter in the colder times. Just cut it back and let it do its thing, and then it'll continue to propagate. It does say that sometimes the first year you plant the seeds, they don't flower, but I've never had that problem, and it works just fine. So, here comes a child. See, I waited too late in the day to start the video, and now the children are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But the best time to collect borage is after the morning dew has subsided and before it gets too hot in the day. So I had to wait for like 9 o'clock. It was kind of chilly this morning. I don't know if you can tell, poor California is on like super fire. We have like the worst air quality in the world, is what the news said yesterday or day before that. It's not as bad as when our own mountains were on fire and it looked like the eternal death of doom red sky was here. I imagine that's what it looks like in California, and my heart and my love goes out to those people. It's really sad. It's definitely one of those things where you're like, oh, this is fire. This isn't cloudy. So that's why there's like, I don't know if the camera can tell that there's like a weird haze. It's probably correcting it all by itself. But I was thinking like, dang, my plant's probably loving this. All the CO2 in the air, they're like, big leaves, happy leaves. All right. Anyways, so back to the borage. So I clipped it back pretty dramatically. Like I said, it was going too far, and a lot of the flowers are already seeding, and that's when I want the seeds because they have a high, that's where a lot of those fatty acids are. So we're going to use that in some oils. We're going to infuse some oils with that, and also a tincture to use those qualities. So if you're making teas, go out and clip the leaves as needed. Let them dry. You can even, like if you have a toaster oven, you put the toaster oven on real low and then turn it off and stick the leaves in there for a minute, and it'll dry them and you can use them to make tea. I can hear the children. I better hurry up. Anyways, and so that's how you can make the tea with the leaves. Same thing with the flowers. Just give them a day, dry them out. Like, you can just pick them as you see them or as you need them. Again, it is really a tolerant plant, so you're not going to hurt its feelings when you clip back a leaf. It should just send out a new leaf right there. Now, since I did a major harvest with our new moon that we're having, because magically these are great to bring joy, they help lift your spirits. It is an air and masculine flower, and so it has that airy, I don't know, it reminds me of the stars, protection, fortitude, and because of that, so anything that has spines, pokies, these little hairs are pokey, so that's going to be protection. So these lower leaves I'm going to keep for magical uses. The softer leaves that don't have the hairs on them we'll put into the tinctures and the oils, and then the flowers are going to kind of get spread out wherever the seeds, in theory, will be left in the bottom of these bags, and so I'll have a bag full of seeds at the bottom. That's the goal. So I collect my seeds in my plants in paper bags. So there's a couple of reasons to that. One, I live in Colorado. It's really dry here. I don't really have to worry about putting them into a dehumidifier or putting them into a space where I have a dehumidifier, unless I was doing a lot of herbs all at once. And even in the other day, I just, like I'm doing with these ones, I'll leave them outside for a little bit so that they can wilt and also get the bugs out. That's one of the benefits of these paper bags. So I'll just like make it an unhappy place to live, and the spiders and the whatever bugs that are in there, the grasshoppers that got caught up when I was clipping, they'll all evacuate the bag and they'll leave. So I won't bring a bunch of bugs in the house, because I always end up bringing a grasshopper in the house. It drives me crazy. They're my nemesis. Although after I put down the Nolo bait, much better, way less. If you're not aware of it, it looks like oatmeal almost, and it's specifically for grasshoppers, and they eat it, and it messes with their nervous system, and then they die. And it doesn't hurt other plants. It doesn't hurt other animals. The birds can eat them. It's not a thing. It just means a whole lot less grasshoppers in my garden. So with the ladybugs, and I release praying mantises and ladybugs, and then the Nolo bait, and then I go out and I eradicate bugs that aren't supposed to be in my garden by hand. And if you leave the dead bugs, it will send a signal to the other bugs like, hey, this isn't a safe place. There's a bunch of carcasses right here. So I always leave the dead Japanese beetles around my green beans and around my grapes so that they don't want to live here and they can migrate through somewhere else and eat some tree leaves or something that's not destructive in my garden. So, anyways, we put them in the bag. We make their lives unhappy. The bugs evacuate. The plants wilt a little bit. I'll take it inside. Now, these ones are kind of dirty. So, I'm thinking that I am going to rinse them. What I'll do is I'll just throw the whole thing in my bathtub. I'll literally shower them with the shower and like spray them, shake them, hang them, and then put them, once the water all drips off, and I'll put them back into the bags. For making tinctures, we're going to do that fresh. So I'll use 100% vodka. Oh, I got a spider web on my finger. Is it on my face? Okay. We'll use 100% vodka, which is surprisingly harder to find than I thought it was going to be initially. And then they all want to point me to Everclear, which is 180 proof. And I don't want that strong. I want it to be at a safe level to consume and not to cause horrible reactions. And I'm not trying to kill the plant. I'm just trying to release the alcohol-soluble properties. So the fresh plant matter will go into the alcohol. This one we're not going to be doing any apple cider vinegar. We are going to be making a couple apple cider vinegars. I've been using a vinegar lemon balm for the bug bites. No, lemongrass. Lemongrass and white vinegar, actually. it got like a brownish color, so it almost looks like that. But we've been using that to treat bug bites. So if the kids get a horsefly bite or a mosquito bite, we instantly put a little bit of baking soda on it, and then I'll pour the apple cider vinegar or the lemongrass vinegar on it. And the vinegar helps to neutralize the poison from the bug bite. And then the lemongrass has all kinds of antifungal, antibacterial, soothing, happy, good properties in it. And so my daughter got a pincher bug, an earwig. You know, the little... she got a pincher bug bite on her finger. She went to open the doorknob, and it must have been on the bottom of the doorknob, and it got her good. And her poor little finger was swelled up big. So we just went in, and I poured the vinegar on it, and she was like, "Mom, it hurts really bad." She's yelling at me. But then we rinsed it with cold water, and the swelling all went down, and it went away right away. And she's allergic to mosquitoes to the point where she'll get like golf ball sized mosquito bites. So is my little one. So we've been using that, and it makes a big difference. So we're going to be making more of that. I want to try it with the apple cider vinegar because that's got other good properties in it from just being the apples in it. So I have some great tinctures that we're going to have. We will be at Denver Pagan Pride. Woohoo! So if you want to see us live and in person, come on down. That'll be at the end of October. Anyways, back to the herbs. So after I hang them in the bathtub and they're all dried off, then we'll kind of separate out what we're using for what. And some will get dried. They'll get put back into the paper bags to dry. And then some will be made into the tinctures, and then everything will sit however it's meant to be sit for about 6 weeks, either in the oil or in the vinegar or in the, well, this one I'm not doing in vinegar, but anyways, in the oil or in the alcohol for 6 weeks, and then it'll be ready to be used. And should be exciting. This one is going to be fun. I can't wait to have the tincture as one of those like healing, good for you tinctures, and the oil to make some soaps out of, just because it has such soothing properties. So it should be great. I highly recommend this one in your yard. It's also really easy to grow. Like, it doesn't take a lot of attention. It doesn't need a lot of water. If you forget to water it, it's okay. And it should come back. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions. As always, I hope you have a great day, and I toast to you and all you do.